This is a trap I cannot ride away from. I guess there are those times in life. It's like staring at the ground as you fall from a height. Seeing the end coming doesn't mean you can dodge it, fix it, stop it. All right. Hello, Charles. How are we? Are we prime?
Low, always prime. Always.
Oh, yeah. How's today been? I mean, we recorded for about an hour and a half last night, but today was Friday. It sounded like you had quite an active evening.
Oh, yeah. I ended up stuck at work fixing a couple trucks that needed to get going about 20 hours before it showed up. And then getting home, and now with school started up with my girls and everything else and events and gymnastics and this and that. Yeah, I ended up just getting home and like sitting down for this.
So you're just very excited to be alone in your den talking about Red Rising, yeah?
150%. This is my excitement face. It's true. But I think one day also I need to do like a little video for people to see what my little den looks like with my nice hidden door and all that.
You've been lazy this week on social media. Take us on a tour.
Oh, that's a good point. I should. Yeah. All right, I will.
You do it and I'll do it, because I've been thinking too that I should do like a bookshelf tour.
Yes.
And maybe show off and explain some of the random shit on my walls.
Yep.
So yeah, maybe we'll do that on Instagram in a couple, maybe next week or something like that.
Deal.
So today I actually have I'm following in your path, and I have a howl of appreciation. On September 2nd, earlier this week, it was the birthday of the father of fantasy, J.R.R. Tolkien's birthday. And I have a feeling, although this is science fiction, a lot of it is, you can draw the direct delineation between Tolkien and all the science fiction and fantasy that we have today. So a little tip of the cap to the father of fantasy.
Hell yeah.
I particularly have it's not a unique connection. There are millions around the world that have a deep connection to Lord of the Rings, but that was my introduction, was the Alan Lee special edition Hobbit that was released in 1998, I think. I got it for my 10th birthday, and I still have it on my bookshelf right there. It was one of my prized possessions and still is. And so I'm sure Pierce Brown would gladly admit, not even admission. It's I'm sure he would give due respect to Tolkien. Yeah. And obviously within these books, there are multiple times where there's an allusion to Tolkien. So I'm sure that actually we have an allusion to another kind of father of modern science fiction that we'll get to later. But today, I'm sorry, I don't want to roll over you here. Do you have a howl of appreciation or anything you wanted to put out?
Well, I just wanted to add in that maybe Pierce mentioned that he might go into fantasy himself in the next series. He always has little nods in Red Rising, yep. But yeah. So
that was certainly...
I was stealing that? Is that what you were going to bring up later?
No. The next thing is we'll get there. That's definitely been in talks, or I've seen it somewhere. I don't know if it was just Reddit or in an interview or whatever, but that would be cool. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
And
no, go ahead.
I'm more of a fantasy guy anyway. That's where I always started, and it was the easiest for me to lose myself in those worlds when I was in shitty situations throughout my life. So it's like fantasy somehow helped me detach from myself. But I wish I actually had this series or something like this back then too. That would have helped immensely, but in different ways. And stuff we'll touch on more on that. But yeah, I can't wait for him to try out in his fantasy endeavor.
That's actually an interesting idea. Is there like, how you can send like care packages back in, is there a program where you can sell like, or just send books to random units?
Yep, 100%. The USO is an organization that they do just that, and it's people's donations, or people will pay, kind of like a registry. You just put money down, and then this is what we're sending to X
Okay.
amount of units who's at whatever location. And we would get some of them, and they had stuff from obviously going on at the moment back home, and there was magazines,
Yeah.
news clippings, or even local schools writing notes and stuff like that's helped. I can't even describe. Like it's something to open up these packages and get that little glimpse of home,
Mhm.
that makes all the difference. So
Well,
yeah,
maybe if we ever run any kind of fundraiser or anything like that, what we do is we try and get the entire series of Red Rising and ship it to units or ship it out to just random,
yeah.
in some kind of care package. Get everybody reading this that might have some use for it.
Yes, and I will add, I don't know as far as the Marines are now, but when I was in, I was like the one guy who was hiding in my sleeping bag reading at the time was like R.A. Salvatore or
I was
George
going to
R.R.
say
Martin.
Salvatore, yeah.
Yeah, and so there wasn't that many of us,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I was in a battalion with 1,000 of us, and I was like the one guy reading, and some higher rank would walk by and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Shouldn't
And
you be playing
yeah,
Call of Duty or
yeah,
Halo
yeah. Shouldn't you be cleaning your weapon for the
or that?
15 millionth time today? So, but maybe now it's different. But I think that's a phenomenal idea, and if it helps just anyone who
Yeah.
needs it in
I
that
mean,
moment to
there might be that
detach.
one guy like yourself hiding under the covers,
Yes,
and
yeah,
maybe it helps him. So that's something to think about in the future. But we're in the now, and right now, we have two chapters tonight: chapter 33, Apologies, and chapter 34, The Northwoods. The Northwoods, I'm going to preface this with all due apologies, which is funny because that's the title of 33. There's a lot of quotes because it's my
yes,
favorite chapter in the book.
yeah,
And so I am going to be reading directly because I didn't want to type up all of the damn quotes. So bear with me. I'm sure I'm going to fuck up and lose my page, but I don't really care because it's my favorite chapter. So we're going to
yep.
read directly from the. Also, what was I going to say to you? Oh, I'm starting the Christoph, the Empire of
The
the.
vampire,
Well, what was the first one?
Empire of the
D-
vampire was
And the second one's Empire of the Damned.
yes, yeah. Empire of the Vampire is definitely the first one.
Okay, so then I'm starting Empire of the Damned tonight after we record, and I will report back with that at a later date, maybe on Monday or next week.
Hell yeah. That was a
Um,
cool series. And
yeah,
when's that next book coming out? It's coming
I
out
don't know,
soon.
probably soon. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not very slow, so um, I'm excited about that. But let us join our friends Cassius and Darrow as we dive into chapter 33, Apologies. The theme here is there's only one, and it's pain. Um, Pain in the sense that Darrow suffers extreme pain like we have not seen him yet suffer. He goes through pain in the carving, but it's a different kind of pain. We never have him whimpering and crying quite so empty and destroyed because the pain in the carving was being built. It's physical pain, but it's the same pain on a heightened scale that you have when you run a mile. You're gaining something in the long run. It's painful to get there, but you are achieving a goal. You're getting to a version of yourself that you're trying to build and create. This pain is destruction. It is destructive pain. He is losing everything. And then the other aspect of that pain is Cassius. This is the heel turn moment for the Golden Boy. His pain at the loss of his brother is causing him it's driving him to create more pain, not just for
Yeah.
Darrow, but more pain for himself as he kills or is attempting to kill his newfound brother and breaking this bond that was quickly made but seemed extremely strong, and the pain of betrayal, as we'll kind of dive into here. He didn't suspect anything,
No. Yeah, that's the worst part.
but Darrow betrayed his trust again, and it broke that bond. You know, it was a crack in the bond, and now Cassius is breaking it completely, and you can tell it's painful for him.
Yeah, 100%. Even throughout this book, you find that Cassius himself never recovers from it. And he basically runs Mars down into the ground because of what it shocks him to his core. But
In the
he's just,
series, he
yes.
barely recovers. I think there's a conversation in Lightbringer between him and Darrow. Oh, I should have said spoilers. But there's a conversation between him and Darrow towards the end of Lightbringer that is, I think, the recovery moment where he finally feels good about himself.
And reading that page, I remember specifically, and it's like, oh no, like this is such a good felt moment.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, what the fuck? I imagine somebody's just behind him with a 12 gauge. Like, it's just the way Pierce Brown writes. So, but it was beautiful. And that coming like moment, and it's like between two brothers or friends, and you share that and like unsaid moment, but this time you actually manage to say it and get it out, and it's powerful.
Yeah, it's there's a documentary about John Candy coming out. And have you ever seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
I haven't. I've only seen like clips and stuff. But
yeah, it's a classic and definitely worth watching. But there's a scene, and it's kind of famous because John Candy is really he's like very good in this scene, and it's not comedy. It's dramatic, and he basically says, "I like me," and you know, the whole movie, the character is designed to make you hate him as much as Steve Martin's character. Like, he's annoying, he's just buffoonish, and he's just a goober of a human being. But you learn he's got deep issues and things that are causing him to just want to be around other people and communicate and connect. And in this scene, he's laying it all bare, and he says, "I like me," and it's a powerful scene, and it's that in Lightbringer where Cassius kind of like finally has a moment where he's like, you know what, I actually do like me. I am,
yes.
You know, there's a lot of connections to Jaime Lannister.
Yes. And they're like
Cassius
overly hard on themselves, and they need a moment to realize like they are enough, and
also like they, because of their actions, kind of betray everybody. So everybody kind of hates them. You know, he's the Kingslayer, and then he's also a Lannister, and then he's also, you know, this kind of terrible betrayer of the white cloak. And just everything he does gives somebody a reason to think he's the worst person.
The gold cloaks.
Or gold cloak.
And then he's a handsome man who's like objectifies women. It's like every single thing he could do was like the wrong move, much like Cassius. Like everything he tried to do, it's like, fuck, goddamn. But
it comes
it's
up
a struggle. Yeah.
You know, and even when he's trying to do the right thing, somehow it ends up blowing up in his face. So anyhow, that's the theme of chapter 33 is apology. And then the theme of chapter 34, the Northwoods, there's two. It's love and recovery, and how recovery is it's intangible. It's not even really a thing. It's like, I think we talked about it, that Don Draper line of happiness is a moment before you need more happiness. It's not something you can ever achieve. You're just always trying to get more of it. Recovery is like that. You're never going to be fully recovered, but you can make progress and you can work towards it. And you can have moments of I'm okay. This is okay. Um, Darrow not only is physically recovering from his fight with Cassius, but he's still emotionally recovering from Io, the loss of Io, and he'll never get over that. But we start to see he's recovering, and part of that
Yes.
is Mustang, and that is the love theme is their love in this is really, I think, really well crafted. And you know what, we should try and reach out to one of the um well, I don't know, I mean, it doesn't that we don't need to have a woman on every time we talk about anything that might involve, that's probably me being a man, a dumb idiot. But I would be interested to see their take on science fiction and fantasy, budding romance, kind of how this is a different version of that than I've ever seen, where the male character is very much like reserving himself, kind of keeping himself from being entangled, and but you can tell like there's just a magnetic kind of chemical interaction happening that I think is rare. I don't know about you, but I don't remember reading anything where I was like, oh, please, guys, get
Yeah.
together.
No, I haven't. I mean, in basic form, I think on the top of my head is like R.A. Salvatore and Dritz and Canterbury. It's like, all right, you kind of wanted them together as the characters, but no, this was much more intense, where it's like they just clicked,
Mm,
and there's an understanding, like similar humor and intelligence and feistiness. It just fit, and Darrow's still hung over Io and her death and everything
that's
that
a
he needs to
poor choice
do.
of
And
words.
that is a very poor choice of words, but fitting nonetheless.
Yeah,
But yeah, and that creates that distance, which does that also intensify the
I think
attraction
so.
between the two of them? So it all works, and
I also am very
yeah,
much the thing that was interesting from the sense of humor between the two of them
yeah,
is very realistic. It's kind of I don't know. Just there's none that are jumping out at me at the moment, but it's a lot of barbs being traded between the two, and her
yep,
kind of being like, "You're an idiot," and in a way that is very funny. There's a moment in there that I think is very human in when he and we'll get to this in detail, but she's trying to explain something to him and he immediately does something she thinks he can't do, and it negates her entire
oh
display,
yes,
but
yes,
in a funny way. And and that's
with this
something that, like,
helldiver hands,
it's like, my wife and I are doing hanging a window or a door or something. And she's like, it can't be, you can't put it like that. You can't put it like that. And then I'll slowly like push it into place and it's perfect, or vice
yes,
versa. Like I'll say, you
yep,
can't do that. You can't boil pasta like that. And then she does. And I'm like, fuck, I'm an idiot.
yeah, yep,
One of those things where it's just very human. If we ever were able to talk to Pierce Brown, one of the most interesting, or one of the things I would be most interested in talking to him about, is how he wrote these female characters in such a rich way, knowing that maybe that's from my male perspective. I understand that.
yeah.
But like, I think that they're pretty flawless, or they're
Yeah,
seemingly very rich, empowered female characters.
especially when they get into their POV. When you get into Mustangs, like
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
he,
mean,
is he basing it off somebody in his life or something that he has intimate, familiar knowledge with? He has to be, because I love the characters,
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
All the female characters are I love them. I think they're well written and an integral part of
Particularly
the
like
story.
the Dark Age. I think it's Dark Age when, yeah, it definitely is. But that the scene when Victra gives birth, like that is
Oh
some peak writing for a man to write.
yeah,
This whole from a female perspective, you're reading as, or you're seeing the world as Lyria, and I just, and again, we're both fucking men, so obviously we
Yeah,
don't
I
know
was gonna
what we're
say
talking about.
disclaimer.
This,
Yeah,
a woman could read all this and be like, "You guys are idiots. Nothing of like
yeah.
women aren't anything like this." For sure, I'm totally understanding that. But as a dude, I'm reading it like, "Wow, this guy knows fucking women."
It's like that Mel Gibson movie, What Women Want. It's like he
Yeah,
knows everything.
exactly.
Huh.
So Pierce Brown knows is
Yep,
what women want.
yep. You can hear
He's
their
Mel
voices.
Gibson. Anyhow, let's dive into chapter 33, apologies.
Hell yeah.
And I only had one definition or weird word to break down, but it's kind of also my several moments or several minute.
Nice.
Cassius is he wakes up Darrow in the night and says that Severo found Roke and they need to go and help him because Severo's broken a leg. He's in like a crevasse or whatever. And I don't know about you, but this is a weakness. We'll say when Pierce Brown is a little weak. We're not too big a fanboy to say that this is not a weak moment. And thankfully, it seems like this is a Red Rising only tendency
Yes.
to rely on the same thing over and over.
Yes.
He truly breaks himself of that in the other books because I don't really think there are repetitive, unless you think of like the ups and downs being repetitive, but that's just books.
Yeah.
But in
And
this
life.
particular book,
So it
and
fits.
life, yeah. But in this book, there's multiple times where Darrow follows somebody into the woods.
Yeah.
It's Vixis, and then it's Leah, and now it's Cassius. And
Yep.
it's within 30 pages. Not even. It's probably like 15 pages that he's now followed 3 different sets of people into the fucking woods by himself.
Yes.
And then realizes he's in the middle of a trap.
And yes, after it's like, after a point where you're like, really? You're still walking? Like, what are you doing? You know it's a fucking trap. 2 of these times were for Roke. You know, Roke's in a crevasse, he broke a leg.
Okay,
And
of course it has to be somehow
yep,
tied back to Roke.
it always comes back to Roke.
But you agree, though, that this is the
No, I
weakest part of the
100%
book for
agree.
me, is as I was reading it, I was like, okay, he has a plan. This is a trap within a trap. There's somebody in a dead horse somewhere. Oh, it's not a trap within a trap. There are no dead horses. He just fell for this again.
Yes.
We are talking about this mastermind who has plans for everything.
Yes.
And yet,
And he knows Cassius has this mysterious pouch given to him, and he doesn't know what to believe or trust anymore. And it's like, shouldn't that also be in the back of your head and being like, well, now he's leading me off in the middle of the night?
it was in the back of his head enough to tell Severo to steal that thing.
Yes, but
which
then it
we
just
find out
went away.
is the reason that Cassius kind of got him into this situation. So yeah, I don't want to harp on it, but it was a moment where I was like, is this just because this is like a first time writer moment where we can't think of another reason to get him out there 3 times in a row in a situation where he might be overwhelmed? But yeah, so anyhow, he is alone with Cassius in the woods. And then as they're riding out there, he realizes, okay, I'm in the middle of another trap. And then he continues to ride for another 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
he can't do anything. He's basically caught out. And that's the nature of the beast. He realizes that, I'm sorry, Cassius realizes that that Darrow has killed Julian, not because he came to that realization, but because he watched the hollow tape that Lilith had given him and that Severo was told to steal. And Darrow has a line in here that I thought was very good. And it just gives you a sense of the gold mine. And it's actually, I'm sorry, it's Cassius talking about Julian. And he says, he was never the brightest, not in the way they wanted. Oh, he was kind and bright with emotions. He could sense sadness or anger a click away, but empathy is a low color thing. I love that. You know,
Yeah.
it also tells you a lot about Cassius, because I think Cassius is a very empathetic character. He
Yes.
feels for people all the time, but he's blocking himself from that because it's a low color thing. It's
Yes.
beneath him.
He almost hates it that he does that for. He's like hiding it, shielding it. It's like trying to pretend like he doesn't do that, doesn't have empathy for others, but deep down he does, and he's tormented by it.
And it's why Darrow likes him.
Yeah.
It's,
I
we
agree. Yeah.
called back to it, I think last episode, where the reason that they are friends is that Darrow could see him crying and mourning and the grief that he had over the death of his brother. That made him feel a bond for Cassius, because Reds pride themselves on their familial connections. They are a low color, and so they have empathy, and he could see that for the first time in a gold, and it made that connection strong. As we go on, Cassius reveals a little bit of the entrapment that the Golds find themselves in. They are just as much of a slave, we've talked about this, as all the other colors. Julian should not have been at the Institute.
No.
He was not qualified to be there. The family, in fact, thought it was kind of a joke that he was even taking the exam, and that when he got the letter, everybody was fairly shocked and surprised, until it dawned on them that this is a political play.
Yes.
That the
Strategic
Bolognas
move.
have killed one of the archgovernor's sons, his favorite son, and they cleverly devised a way to get back at the Bolognas in a perfectly legal way that would not allow the Bolognas to start any kind of civil war. Because when you receive an invitation to the Institute from the archgovernor, it is illegal to refuse. And I think it carries a death sentence.
I believe so.
Maybe I'm making that up, but I think that's the case. And so Julian had to go.
At least your family would be shunned at the very least. So you have to go. There's no arguing it.
And they didn't think that Julian was going to be a low draft. They thought he would be a middling draft, and he would do well enough to not embarrass the family. They, of course, had no idea that he was being sent there to die. Cassius, he didn't plan to watch the holocam that Lilith gave him. He had no intentions of it because he trusted Darrow. And this is what we were just talking about, where, well, Darrow fucked himself over because he gives Severo that order. Cassius sees that Severo's trying to steal the tape from him in the night, or senses it somehow. And so he watches it, and he watches Darrow kill his brother. Darrow reminds him that not only was he in no position to do anything other than kill Julian, but that this is rigged. It's dawned on Darrow. He's realized, he's seeing the machinations of the Proctors or some force, and he's recognizing that it's being rigged, maybe not against him per se, but it's being rigged for this person known as the Jackal. And he's trying to explain to Cassius, like, look, you have to look past this. I know I killed your brother. I'm sorry for that. But can we both get on the same wavelength that someone showed you that video to get you to get to this moment where you want to kill me, because they saw our bond and our team growing in a way that might threaten their overall aim here. Obviously, Cassius doesn't give a shit. And Darrow even tells Cassius at this point, it's the archgovernor's son, the Jackal. Is the archgovernor's son that they're rigging the game for, and that they're trying to help him get rid of Darrow. And so you'd think there should be a part of Cassius being like, well, I don't know. I can't put myself in that
At that
position,
point,
but
he's just seeing red. At that
yeah,
point, he's just so pissed off that I think he just probably hears mumbling from Darrow. It's not really he's not
yeah.
really receptive to what he's saying. But my question of it is, if Cassius was so trustworthy or trusting of Darrow, why did he hold on to the pouch? Why did he put it in his boot? Why didn't he just immediately the castle Minerva was on fire right behind them? If it'd be like, oh, she's just a nut job like a violet, why wouldn't she just throw it right into the fire and be like, I got nothing to worry about, brother? He kept it though. That's where it's
There's
like, did he still plan on looking at it? Like he
yeah, but
says he was never going to, but
it's kind of like in Survivor when you have two people who are both looking for an immunity idol and they
yeah,
find it, and then one of them is like, yeah, no worries, I swear, I trust you, I'll use it to save you. Do you really believe that they're going to do that? You got to trust them at a certain point. And maybe he's taking it and thinking like, oh, like he doesn't know that it's the video of Darrow killing Julian. Maybe he thinks it's
no
a map to a
weapons cache or
weapons
something.
cache or something, or maybe it's a significant hint towards becoming Primus or something like that. So he's still gaming. Maybe he
True.
thinks it's an edge, and why would you, without having any other knowledge, why would you negate yourself the possibility of getting further in the institute or the game? So, I don't know if I think I agree with you. I don't know if I believe him saying I was never going to watch it. I
Yeah.
trusted you. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's all well and good to say at this point because you can use it as a barb against Darrow.
Yes.
Because this
But
is
he did just say like a page or two before that. It's like, I've found new brothers. Like, I feel like this is a new family. We could do so much together. We could command fleets together within my family, Bologna's, armada. And then it's, I trust you, throw it in the fire. That's just the way I see it. And be like, I'm not going to let them influence me at all. There's no immunity idol. It's just like, boom, this is my undying trust. But that's also a fault of my own personally. So,
true.
yeah,
And also, it's not. I think I think you're thinking like Chuck and not like Cassius.
yeah,
There, as much as he's saying we're all brothers, there's also a hierarchy there where he thinks he's equal to Darrow and he knows that he's above Roke. So it's easy to say we're
yes,
all brothers when you're
on the
equal
top.
or higher than everybody
Yeah,
else. It's much harder for him to say we're all brothers if Darrow and Roke are above him in the hierarchy. It
that's a good
doesn't
point. Yeah,
doesn't gain him anything. Um, and I don't know how much I I don't know. I don't know. Anyhow, to your point, he says Darrow tries to use that not
mm,
against him. He says, and I have it in my quotes, so we'll get to it after the recap. But he says something to the effect of, "We can do this together. Let's team up and take down the Jackal. You'll have your revenge against the Archgovernor, and we'll win this together." And he's like, "No, you don't fucking get me. You don't understand what's going on here. There is no we." There
yeah,
is no we. There was never any we because I didn't know that you killed my fucking brother.
yeah,
He doesn't obviously say it like that, but that's what his point is that there could never be a we, not as long as you kept that from me. And so then he throws, Darrow notices he has two ion blades with him when they're riding out, and he understands, okay, this is going to be a duel. And at this point, Cassius throws him his blade, and Darrow knows that he has no chance because he's been training with the straight blade against Cassius and understands that this is someone who has trained their whole life with this blade. They have blades put in their hands before anything else, and it is a quick fight. There, a
yeah.
lot of the fights later in the series and in Red Rising itself, there's like multiple pages or multiple paragraphs of back and forth. The fight is legitimately like I don't know, 4 paragraphs, and then most of it is just him.
Moaning.
I think it's 2 paragraphs, and then the last 2 paragraphs are Darrow bleeding out and crying in the mud. And that's how the chapter ends. Cassius leaves him dying there, and incapable of making human noises. So as we go forward, I'm going to hit my quotes here. Like I said, there were too many to type up. And I actually like holding the book in my hand. I think my eyes get fucking wonky as I'm staring at the screen too much.
Yeah, true.
So at the bottom of 259, Cassius says, "That you did Augustus's dirty work?" He laughs scornfully. "I trusted you, Darrow. So I did not need to see what the jackals sent me. But when Severo tried to steal it from me as I slept in the great woods, I knew something was the matter." He notices my reaction. "What? You thought you consorted with dullards?" So what we were just talking about, that moment of him realizing, oh, something's up. But he also kept it. He didn't have to keep it. But it's also a good point of Darrow did start to see Cassius as this kind of bimbo or himbo, where he's just really handsome and strong and good, but he's not really smart. So we don't really need to have a strategy for Cassius, because he's swimming in the deep end of strategic thought here with Darrow and Mustang and the Jackal. Cassius isn't that brain, but he's also not an idiot.
No. Plus, it's a power move for Darrow. You don't want to include him on too many like big strategic things, because then you don't want to like give him a bump up. And it's like, no, all right, just be the big dumb idiot over there who's a great fighter, but I don't want to let you in on too much. But that has its drawbacks.
For sure, I think that's 100% it. I mean, that's also smart.
Yeah.
And what I was saying earlier, so Darrow says, "We can beat him together, Cassius. We didn't need to be divided." And Cassius says, "Because you killed my brother?" He spits. "There is no we, you feckless quim. Get off your gory damn horse." So there is no we, you feckless quim is my Severo minute. I know
nice.
It's not said by Severo, but do you know what a quim is?
No, I don't.
Quim is like, I think it's like Victorian era or even earlier, maybe Dickinsonian. It's basically the word for vulva or vagina. I know vulva and vagina are not the same thing, so any women listeners, please don't DM us and say Colin needs to take biology.
And
I'm familiar with. I know they're not the same thing. I'm just saying that's
say
it's
gash.
Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
That's from the series. Okay. Did you heard that on Instagram? He was talking about the Ephraim T. Horn quote, and that's what he's part of his quote.
Oh, man, I did not.
Yeah, he was talking about like the men or the women, and I forget what he says for the men.
Yes,
he's like whatever or gash. Yeah.
Yes.
It's all for the series. I'm not. I would never say that.
Oh man, we're definitely gonna get canceled at some point. No, but so there is no we, you feckless quim. Is him saying you feckless vulva, which I think is a pretty funny fucking Severo minute.
Yeah.
This is another thing that struck me was Cassius has an understanding of what this school is supposed to be. It is the wrong understanding, but it is certainly understandable why he sees it this way, in that he thinks this is supposed to be kind of a spa retreat for the rich and wealthy children of the Orient gens, and that they're supposed to learn how to become men and women of steel and violence. They're not supposed to already be that. And the school is disabusing him of that pretty rapidly, I would hope. And he says to Darrow, "It's how you killed him." He's quiet for a moment. "We come as princes, and the school is supposed to teach us to become beasts, but you came as a beast." And because we don't get a perspective of what it's like to be in the passage from anybody other than Darrow, it's hard to argue.
True. Yeah,
It's hard
it's
to
true.
argue. Because,
Yeah,
I mean,
that was my favorite quote from this chapter. Is the one that I had written down. It's just
oh,
the
really?
way he
Yeah.
says it. You came a beast. It's but I didn't think that either. No, we don't have any other perspective of anyone from the passage, and who knows how civilized or what
Yeah.
happened or transpired.
We kind of have to assume they're all the same because
Yeah.
it's two naked children slapping at each other in the dark. But I don't know. I'm assuming Severo was pretty fucking vicious.
Oh, guaranteed.
But like, was Mustang?
Oh,
I can
I
see
don't know.
Mustang calmly, quietly explaining to somebody what's going to happen and then sneaking up behind them and like very swiftly
with a
snapping
rock.
their neck or hitting them with a rock or,
Yeah.
I can see Pax being like Lenny from Of Mice and Men and like with the bunny where he goes up to a smaller one, snaps their neck and then weeps over them or is crying while he does it. And,
Yeah.
and then I can see the jackal talking somebody into killing themselves, like Hannibal Lecter.
I was going to say that. Yeah. Torturing him first too. He probably was the last one to come out of the passage because he was enjoying it too much.
I was going to say he probably came out like smiling, whistling,
licking
quietly.
his fingers.
Yep. So yeah, it's hard to say, particularly if you're watching the video. I wonder if the hollow video was from Julian's perspective, like his ring, or from Darrow's perspective, or if it was just a camera up in the corner of the room watching the whole thing unfold.
That's what I pictured.
I did, but why? If the rings have cameras on them?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that for the past. Well, no. They each didn't have a ring at that time. There was only one thrown down on the ground by Fitchner.
Oh, yes.
And
good
said
point, good
only
point, good
one
point.
of you would get it. So no one was actually wearing it at the time.
Yep.
So
nope, you're right. Good call. You may never get me on a trivia piece, but you certainly get me on facts that I'm misreading.
Challenge accepted. I'm going to get you one of these days.
It'll be the next one for sure. Yeah, so I just thought that was a great line, and it definitely it raises the question: is Darrow a beast from the beginning? And I think it's hard to argue that he's not. Although we also we know that Titus is like a real beast.
Yes, there's no control of that. Where this is like a beast that kind of got unleashed due to fear. And he thinks he's crying while he's doing it, but maybe through this video, it sounds like he's snarling and just wailing away on him. Who
mean, his emotions are inside, so it's not like he's. It'd be one thing if he's weeping openly and saying, I'm sorry as he's doing it, but he admits as soon as Julian connects with his nose, he's like,
yes,
all right, we're on. I'm going to fucking murder you.
Yep.
And he does. But then, and then there's the sequence where he's holding him and crying. So I don't know.
They cut that. Guaranteed. They didn't show him that.
Oh, good point. Good point. Definitely.
Yeah. They would just show him whatever and then move on. Oh, that's where the video ended. Sorry, Cassius.
That's
and to the point, this is Cassius doing the same thing to Darrow. This is him pure rage in their fight. It's just he demolishes them very quickly.
And I was wrong. It's exactly one paragraph. And the first sentence in that paragraph is, the duel is not long.
Yeah.
It's, the duel is not long. I've been practicing with him for months. He has played at duels his entire life. The blades echo across the moving river. Snow falls, mud sticks and sloshes. We pant, breath billows. My arms rattle as the blades clang and scrape. I'm faster than him, more fluid, almost get his thigh, but he knows the mathematics of this game. With a little flick of his wrists to move my sword sideways, he steps in and drives his ion blade through my armor into my belly. It is, 10 sentences, one paragraph. A line that stuck out to me down here is, dignity leaves me, and I begin to whimper like a dog.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced pain that made you absolutely uh, live that sentence? Because I have, and it was not.
Yes.
Uh, f- Nobody caused it but myself. I got food poisoning in Mexico
Oof.
on the day we were leaving the flight home. I was in an airport or an airplane bathroom. I'm a big guy, you know me, and I'm sweating. I'm in the airplane bathroom, literally dying.
Dying.
Dignity certainly did leave me as I walked back to my seat. I know that I've just, the a massacre in the sky has occurred, and I'm walking back like shame ridden. My dignity is flown, and I'm sure that somebody walking by heard the whimpers of a dog in the sky as they walk by that plane bathroom. Now that I've
That's I
embarrassed
can picture
myself
this.
on the podcast,
Yeah.
please take a minute to explain to the world what your moment was.
Oh, I mean, as far as losing your dignity or whimpering, as far as pain, I don't think it's actually pain, but more of straight up fear. Where there was a moment overseas. It was an incident that happened, and the pure shock of it is what broke me down to a point. There probably was a little whimper noise that came out, but it was just the pure fear. But how quickly you have to accept that and move on and get your head back in the moment and get through that to continue on and stay alive. So it wasn't so much a fear, but more of pain. It was strictly fear. So, and
So
as
did
we
you
know,
vamp or did
Cullen,
you actually give a story?
I did not vamp. I gave a story, and I don't know if the original couple episodes ago where Cullen's screen went black and he was telling me about vamping, and I completely shut down. I don't think this happened at all.
Oh,
But
good,
you'll
good.
have
I
to
had to get a glass of
listen back
water.
and
I'm
tell me.
dying.
Yeah, you'll have to go back and listen. But it wasn't so much, just to recap it, not so much from strictly pain to break me down to the point of causing like a whimpering like a dog, but it was the pure shock and fear that caused the same kind of similar effect of completely shutting me down. And I'm sure there was a whimpering noise somewhere, but then trying to snap back out of that and get back into the game was the struggle.
So you didn't have the galloping shits on a plane 35,000 miles above the United States?
I did not. I did.
No.
The closest
Okay.
thing to that is pulling off a highway on the Mass Pike and running into those gas stations and the sweating and all that. But no, not on a plane.
I'm sure your story was way more badass than mine, but
I was very vague because I don't need to go down a road
yeah,
sometimes
no, I hear
remembering
you.
things. But yeah,
I hear you. Well, then I'm gonna move to the end here where Darrow's feeling. You can hear my dogs. My wife trying to wrangle the dogs. Um, he says, "I become a child again. I curl around the wound. Oh God, it is horrible. I don't understand the pain. It consumes me. I'm no man. I'm a child. Let me die faster. I sink into the cold, cold mud. I shiver and weep. I can't help it. My body does things. It betrays me. The metal went through my guts. My blood goes out. With it go dancers' hopes, my father's sacrifice, Eo's dream." So, an even more intense version of what I was talking about earlier, where
yes.
I also felt that in that plane,
But
that my
yeah,
father's hopes and sacrifices left my wife's dreams.
such shame, such shame. They knew it, dude. Your parents at home were like, "Oh, what happened? I don't know." They
They
sensed it.
felt all their pride leaving them, and they were wondering what happened. It's almost as if it flitted through the air.
Yeah, it's
This is
strange
embarrassing. I
breeze.
shouldn't have said anything. A
Oh, that's
strange breeze,
perfect.
and everybody
Yeah.
fell to the ground, gasping.
Gasping for air. But I think in this moment with Darrow, he doesn't even speak about the literal pain of this happening, being stabbed in the gut. It's
No.
all emotional and it's all
Oh yeah.
fear, which kind of brings back to like my example, but yeah, he's torn up. He's not like, oh fuck, this hurts. My stomach acid's leaking out, and any of that. No, it's oh my god, I fucked up. I ruined this for the Suns. I ruined it for
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Dancer EO. So it's a
It's
little
totally
different.
just you're right. I don't think, I mean, it is physical fear, your physical pain. He's saying, I curl up around the wound, my body's betraying me, these kind of things are happening. But the vast majority of his pain is coming from the fact that he's watching everything that he's staked his life on. And what he perceives to be the lives of his family, his
Yeah,
friends, his dead wife, his color, everything is on this moment having gone differently, and there's nothing he can do
it,
to change its outcome.
it
Um,
slips through his fingers. He feels like, and that's a lot of weight to put on one fucking person. Your
eh,
whole race basically is
for
hinged on
sure.
you. Like holy fucking shit.
And there's a tinge of he caused this.
But yeah. Well, he was
His
thrown
math,
into it. His
for
yeah,
sure, but like,
yeah,
but I mean, ultimately, his actions led to this moment.
yes,
If you want to go step by step, the breadcrumbs lead back to him. Um, I don't think there's an argument for a different path. But you could just, I mean, that's life, right? You stack
yeah,
up choices, and then wherever you find yourself, those choices led you to that spot. Um, so that's Apologies, chapter 33. And now we move into chapter 34, the
oof,
Northwoods. And this recap is short because there's just, again, a lot of quotes.
yeah, yep,
I feel bad because the listener's like, well, I could just read the fucking book. I don't know why
yeah,
you have to read it to me. But they're just so cool. There's so many good lines in here and good little um, ways of describing things and seeing the situation that I'm not going to apologize anymore. I'm just going to do it.
yep.
First off, before we go further, have you read the book The Northwoods?
No, I have not.
So it's not any kind of connection because the book The Northwoods came out um, within the last like
I,
2 or
I was
3
gonna say
years.
after. It would,
Yeah. But it's really good. So any listener out there that is looking for something interesting to read, it's basically about a house in New England over 200 years. And it's all these intertwining stories of people and animals and plants and insects even, and how they interact with that house and the house over time, how it changes and shifts. And it's a very masterfully written, kind of haunting. It's not a horror book by any means, but it's just a great novel. Really worth picking up if anybody's looking for a fairly quick read over the weekend. So anyhow, chapter 34, The Northwoods. Darrow is not dead. Our hero lives on, although he is in extreme pain, incredibly disoriented, feverish, and full of hate, full of black heart, deep core hate, in a way that we haven't really experienced Darrow. And I don't know how much of it is real and how much of it is a, a caused by
a fever dream,
the fever and the pain and all
mm,
of that. But
failure.
it's there. And he's in and out of sleep, and at one point wakes up and thinks he's with EO and believes that his dead wife is with him. And I don't know if he's actually awake or if he's seeing her in the afterlife or whatever. We're bouncing in and out of kind of a hazy reality. And then he wakes up and he sees a different girl. And it's Mustang who's with him, who he saved from Vixis and Cassandra.
Cassandra. Yep.
Okay, yeah. And he is immediately shaken because I don't know if she's whistling it or singing it. I think she's humming.
She's humming it.
I imagine her humming it, and it's Eo's song,
Ooh, I don't know.
the song
Yeah.
of Persephone. And we find out that over the last month or so, Mustang has been nursing him back to health, and the two of them um, are kind of trading stories as to how they got where they are. And she informs Darrow that gives him the lowdown of what's happening at House Mars, that Cassius is now Primus and things are chaotic and not really going in any direction. It seems to be the cycle of medieval warfare is back on House Mars, where there's castles and then there are forces that are unable to crack the castle defenses, and that cuts both ways, and there's raiding and very low level combat all the time, but it's not really achieving anything. It's just trading slaves and wounded and casualties back and forth. Nobody's actually able to get any kind of decisive victory. We find out a little bit more about Mustang. How did she become Primus so quickly?
Yeah.
One of the things that she opens up to him about is she put together very, very early on that you get a point for every time you regain the standard of your house. And so she constructed or concocted a series of plans for the standard to be stolen, and then she would quickly go and re-steal it. So with, I think, I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks or whatever, very quickly she was Primus of House Minerva, which I loved. I loved that little insight to, oh, this is a
Her
masterful,
mindset. Yeah. While they were all starving and hating each other and in 4 different tribes within Mars, she's already taken command and is the Primus. And that's what's scary about this. Each house you still don't know about. There's other houses while this is all going on. You're like, oh, fuck, how far advanced are they? We don't know because we're only stuck in this POV. That's what I think in my head. But yes, it is a good nod to Mustang and how brilliant she is.
And it's kind of, the old saying, yeah, this guy's playing like House Ceres is playing checkers and Mustang's playing chess, and House Mars was chewing on Play-Doh in the corner, banging its head against the wall. Like that's
It's
where
crayons.
they didn't even know that they were playing a game, and Mustang had already figured out the rules to the game,
and
they were working on the same
yeah.
information.
Yes.
So that just, I think, to what we were talking about with Mustang last night about, sure, she's maybe not the greatest tactician on the field, but she has this ability to quickly deduce all the confines and construct of the situation in a way that allows her to solve problems rapidly.
Yes.
And the other thing we learn about it is that they liked her.
Yes. They loved
everybody in her
tribe
liked her, which was
something
not something
Darrow,
they had. No.
Not
and not just
all.
Darrow, like even Cassius had people that didn't like him. Titus, obviously, Antonia, obviously. So it was never going to be that situation, which, and that's why, sure, I think the second trilogy is the story of Odysseus. But if anybody is Odysseus, it's definitely Mustang in these early, well, I don't know. I guess Darrow is with the horses, the people hiding in horses thing.
Yeah.
But her abilities, Minerva was the goddess who was, she was basically the proctor for Odysseus. So throughout the Iliad and then the book, the poem Odysseus or Ulysses, whatever, she was the god that directly communicated. She granted Odysseus all these favors and allowed him, gave him all this inside information. So it really makes sense that Mustang is in Minerva, because she's very much like Odysseus. Everybody likes her. She's really smart and quick and witty and capable. Maybe not the greatest warrior. Odysseus wasn't like Achilles, but also could take care of themselves. So there's a lot of connection there, I guess. Maybe I'm making too much of it, but so we find out about how she became Primus. We also learn that over the time that they've spent together while she's nursing him, Darrow is shocked to find out that he says a name in his sleep repeatedly, apparently in his fever dreams was saying the name Io. And to that, Mustang was kind of surprised. Not only was she wondering why, who is this girl? And I think there's already some of that tension where, oh, well, that's why he's not taking to me the way that he might. I mean, he's a young man. She's a young woman. They're both beautiful. They're in a cave alone for a long period of time. Yes, he's been sick, but I mean, at 16 years old, you're probably not going to let a little stomach stabbing keep you from finding fumbling through the night in a cave with a beautiful blonde. But he doesn't. And that, I think, does surprise her.
Shutting down her advances, like when she's trying to explain those things on her with her hands on his hand, and
and gentle, like brushing against the leg, and very
sleeping for warmth every night, like into each other.
And there are moments where she's holding his eye contact, expecting him to, respond to it.
Yep.
And he doesn't. So she thinks it's got something to do with this girl, Io. It does. She's not wrong, again, but for the wrong reasons. And she even mentions it here. She says, that's a very off-color name, like yours.
I forgot about that.
A little building block there for somebody out there to say, oh, does she know? Is she putting this together on any level? Because what are the odds that a gold has an off-color name and then the other gold he's in love with has an off-color name? I mean, it's unique.
Suspicious.
Already, that everybody comments on how off-color his name is. He fell in love with another gold named with an off-color name. That seems unlikely. Also, you're right. They're sleeping together all the time for warmth. Now, I know
cuddled up.
We have
nuzzling
female,
her neck, and
we have female listeners, and so I want to be inappropriate, but that seems unlikely too. That they would have that much contact and not have anything happen. So I think it's fair for her to be very confused by this. So
or intrigued too, or
I'm sure
making it part of the game or the chase.
For sure. I think that's definitely part of that attraction, is like, oh, we want what we can't have, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
As they are in the cave together, like you were saying, they are kind of learning more about each other, but they're also learning about how each other thinks, and how they think strategically. And she is explaining to Darrow that she sees things very differently in terms of how gold should fight, not just here in the Institute, but maybe as a whole. And it should fight. There's at one point they have this moment where she's talking about how it's based off of they're hunting wolves, and they killed a pack leader, and it instantly shows them. Well, Darrow makes a comment of, we should fight like them, like wolves, because they have a real sense of how each other fights, and they fight together but autonomously. And she says, yeah, we should, but we should not have so much reliance on the alpha. We should try and have everybody working together without one clear chief. And then they go into this explanation of how the hand is. If you hold something with one finger, it's easy to take it. But if you hold it with all the fingers together, holding it, working towards the same end, it's much harder for someone to take it out of your hand. And that dawns on Darrow. Oh, this is a person who maybe is talking about all the colors working together.
Yeah.
I think he's not only clear
not
on
only
that.
like
it's not
working outside the box, but you can interpret it in different ways. Being like completely, she could be talking about all the colors.
And again, it's not outright by any means. They're not like all of a sudden, let's do this thing and break the chains and all that. She's not on that wavelength yet. But he sees a window there of, well, maybe, maybe if we can change some gold mines, this is a possibility. And certainly at the Institute, he's saying this is how we should break the Institute. Or I don't think he's formulated that plan to break the Institute, but this is how I can win. And then so as they're going hunting and learning from each other, at one point, Mustang becomes sick, and Darrow tries to nurse her, and there's not much he can do. She's just probably got some kind of fever, and she's getting rapidly worse and worse, and there's nothing he can do to change that situation. So he is trying to go out and find any kind of, he's like roving around trying to find any kind of medicine that he can get her. And at one point he comes back, or he follows the trail of two boys, and out in these woods are where the shamed go when they break the bond of slavery from whatever house they've been taken by. They go into the woods and they basically become kind of marauding, barbarous tribes, essentially. They're not really working towards anything. They're just trying to survive the game and not be slaves. And they're dangerous because they're living like cavemen.
They have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose, and they're trying to survive. So anybody that they come across, they're going to try and take whatever they can from. And so he follows these footsteps, and they lead back to the cave that him and Mustang have been in. And the boys are attacking Mustang, and he knows what they're going to do. And he wants to kill them. And he rightfully wants to, do bad things, like he says earlier in the book. But Mustang, and Mustang convinces him that isn't the right path. That is not what he needs to be doing. And in fact, we shouldn't, any of them shouldn't.
He's almost shocked by his own reaction to how pissed off and rage felt he gets when he finds out, when he stumbles upon them and they actually have her on the ground, and I believe like her shirt's ripped off, and the rage that overtakes him, and it quite literally causes him to pause for a minute. It's like, holy shit, I care about this person.
I have real feelings for her, which he didn't know that he had. And so then, and even after she convinces him not to, he like drags them out, ties them to a tree, and is hoping that either they die of exposure or somebody else comes along and kills them or whatever. But he's not letting that fate take control, because he waits for Mustang to fall asleep, and then he plans to go out there in the night and finish him off. And she convinces him not to, because she knows him well enough to know. Somehow she knows him at this point well enough to know that that's what he was going to do. And so, and then there's, I think we talked about it before, but there's 2 pages of lyrics in here. Which for me is an instant skip, but I actually did read it.
The full song.
The full song. I will not sing it for you.
I was hoping for it.
Maybe I'll do a recording for the Instagram someday.
It's a cool song.
It's not anything like Tolkien, I'll tell you that. The Tolkien songs are long, like 5 pages. The dwarf songs particularly go on forever. But Io, he sings Io's song, the song of Persephone, as she cuddles against him. And it's a moment where he's living in 2 worlds at once and in 2 different times. He's with the woman he loves and with the woman he loved. And I think that really connects him. So later on, but as time goes on, he has no way of helping Mustang, and he realizes that she's going to die. There's nothing he can do unless he can get a proctor to come out of nowhere and help him. And he does. He's wearing the alpha white wolf cloak that him and Mustang hunted. Hooper's here, and he's being a pain in my ass. But
I figured.
I don't know if you saw the door open. Julie just dropped him in
Yeah.
here because I'm sure he
Said,
was
all right.
annoying her.
Yeah.
And so Fitchner comes down, and Darrow tries to screw with him a little bit. And there's a lot throughout this whole passage with him. He's testing the Proctor's defenses, kind of.
Yes. Honey,
You
it's like
know?
testing the waters to see how
Yeah.
far he could go and find out how does this react. He shoots an arrow at him and realizes
Mm-hmm.
he looks like he's undefended, but no, the like pulse armor is always activated, and it's not just him just being a dick. Like, I'm shooting at my Proctor because he abandoned me. It's like, no, I'm doing this for a motive because I want to know how your armor works. I want to, it's forward thinking, so it's pretty
It's
pivotal.
it's like finding out how slow the Castle Minerva gate closes.
Yes, yeah,
You
the
know, it's
little
that
things.
same kind of just collecting data points to eventually string up on a board. They have a whole discussion about the jackal. Darrow is really adamant he finds out or wants to find out who is helping the jackal win. And Fitchner disabuses him of the notion that it's any one particular Proctor. It's all of them, including Fitchner.
Yeah,
Fitchner admits that, yeah, we've all been bribed or cajoled or threatened into doing this. And it's because we're dealing with the arch governor of Mars. It's not like we're doing it because we love Adrius or the Jackal. We're dealing with one of the most powerful people in the solar system, and they are telling us to do something, so we have to figure out how to do it. He's also making clear to Darrow that the Proctors are not gods. They are beatable, maybe. They
yeah,
are flawed, and they are violent and jealous and angry, and they're dangerous. He's trying to explain to Darrow that there are very dangerous people out there who want to see the Jackal win. They don't necessarily care what happens with Darrow as long as Darrow stays out of their way.
yep,
He also gives up some information, though, that Darrow squirrels away in that, well, if Proctor's house loses or is defeated, Proctor's sent home. And if you remove the house ring, then you become, essentially, it's a ghost cloak because anybody can watch, any of the drafters, any of the Peerless Guard can watch anything that's happening on any of the rings at any point in time during the game, which is a shock to Darrow because he's like, holy shit. There's, immediately he's like, did I say anything about being a red to Titus? Like,
yeah.
I mean, have I,
Did he
did
slip up?
anybody see me saying Eo's name and connect that anyhow? Like, but then he also realizes he flips it on its head and realizes, well, if I don't wear the ring, then they can't see me. So he's putting little bits like that together. Fitchner also lets him know that he's not without friends out there. They can't do anything overtly to him that might be seen by the drafters or by the society. The Proctors have to be sneaky about this because if somebody like Lorno Arcos, who seems to have taken a liking to Darrow, sees that there are Proctors trying to fuck him over, that'll be a problem for them. The Board of Quality Control is out there. And if the Proctors skew the game intentionally, that throws into question the entire validity of this institute structure.
The whole point, yeah.
The whole point is undermined. Everything about it comes into question. It's like steroids in baseball. Like, all the records are in question from here on.
Or corked
And all the
bats.
ones that came before it are in question because who was on it, who wasn't. And, they'd have to go back and really find out what the deal was. So Darrow,
Do they explain time also? How there's a delay? Did
Yes,
Fitchner
yes,
let that
yes.
slip? Oh,
He said there's a, which is a good point because that comes up eventually. But yes, there's like a time delay so they can edit the videos.
yep.
Now that's probably more or less like just editing. I'm sure if a drafter wanted to see the unedited full video, they would be allowed to, but it doesn't matter. It's more of a tidbit for you to tuck away for future knowledge.
Yep.
Um, and actually for Darrow too, because
Oh yeah,
that's
it
pretty
comes up.
important. And then Fitchner basically pleads with Darrow to stop, and like any 16-year-old kid, if you plead with them not to do something, you are just telling them to do it more.
Yeah.
And so Darrow realizes that he needs to get House Apollo and House Jupiter out, and the only way to do that is to destroy their houses. And then Fitchner finally leaves him with two things. He gives him medicine for Mustang, and then he gives him something that we haven't had since the testing, I think, which is a direct connection back to the Sons of Ares.
Yes. The
Or at least I'm
locket
assuming that, right?
or the knife ring.
Well, no, at this point, he gives him a box with his Pegasus
Yes.
locket that has
The
the
locket.
Amanthus blossom in it. And he basically says, like, your friends are with you and they care about you. And so he's not saying anything direct, but we, as the reader, have to infer that that's a Sons of Ares, somebody within the Board of Quality Control or the drafters or somebody out there is watching these videos too and wants him to have something he cares about.
Some keepsake from where it all started from.
And
Remind
so
you.
that is where the chapter ends. And now I think we dive into some quotes.
Well, there's only two, if I could. There's two
Yeah, no,
points
please.
that I really loved on this chapter, and you touched on it, but when Mustang's interest and for the Song of Persephone, she didn't judge it. She thought it was beautiful,
Oh, yeah.
and it was like a very sad melody. And I think she admits that she saw EO actually
Yes,
singing it on the
she
HC,
does.
but
Yep.
there was like an understanding to the song. And I think that also bridged between the past and the present of between EO and Mustang and created their bond a little bit more. It's like, well, she understands the beauty in this song and the weight of it. So that was a touching moment that I loved. And then the other part, earlier, Darrow was sick and he was in his fever dream and he was going in and out of consciousness. And I have to pull up the quote, but I believe he hears, which he thinks it's EO, but he hears Mustang like speaking to somebody. And it's like, well, let's say if it actually was Mustang, who would she be speaking to? And he was so sick to the point, and I'm pretty sure he's about to die. And if Mustang was the only one left from House Minerva, that would mean Proctor Minerva, in my mind, actually paid her a visit. And she was like pleading with the Proctor to then give Darrow something to make him better. And that's actually how he started doing a recovery. I'll have to see if I can find it because I had that in my notes.
Yeah. While I'm doing my notes, find out, or while I'm doing my quotes, find out if you can find that because I totally
Yeah.
I did not see that.
I will
But
find it. But those were the two cool things that I thought really helped tie in her love and understanding of the Song of Persephone, and then
yeah,
who was Mustang really talking to,
look for that
and
while I'm
if
doing
she
the quotes
was,
because
or was he
I'm
just,
intrigued.
was he just had a high fever and he was just hearing mumbling and she was talking to herself? I don't know, but
So the first quote I have is him still in the fever state, and this is where he's talking about his hate. They mock me. They laugh at me. I hate Antonia. I hate Fitchner. I hate Titus. I hate. I am burning and mad and sweating. I hate the jackal, the proctors. I hate. I hate myself for all I've done. All I've done for what? To win a game. To win a game for someone who will never know about anything I do. Io is dead. It isn't as if she will ever come back to see all I've done for her. Dead. And then he says, a little bit lower, I cry silently. I want Io. Why can't I have her? Why can't I will her back to life? I want Io. I don't want this girl beside me. It aches worse than the wound. I can never fix what happened to Io. I couldn't even run my army. I couldn't win. I couldn't beat Cassius, not to mention the jackal. I was the best hell diver. I'm nothing here. The world is too big and cold. I'm too small. The world has forgotten Io. It has already forgotten her sacrifice. There's nothing left. I sleep again. So he's like at the most broken. He's bouncing between hate and self-hate and pity and self-pity. I mean, it's like bottom of the bottom.
Yeah. And it's how imagine you're sick and dying. Everything that you were fighting for seemingly slips through your grasp. And then you look up and you see your deceased wife and you're clinging to that. And then you come out of this and find out, well, that's not my wife. And then it's just back to the spiral. It has to punch that much harder.
For sure.
But I think I found it.
Did you find it?
All right. So it's just the first page in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I sweat despite the rains and snows that come. Something shelters me. I shiver, clutch my scarlet headband. Lost a hemathus. When was that again? Mud in my hair. Io washes it away. Tenderly strokes my brow. I love her. Something inside me bleeds. I hear Io speak to herself, to someone. I haven't long. Have I time at all? Am I in the vale? There is mist. There is sky and great trees, fire and smoke. And then not too long after that, in the next page, it's when, all right, I wake, and then there's pain in my gut and all that. So I'm wondering if that was actually Mustang speaking to someone, and he kind of overheard it in his fever.
That's
state.
interesting. I did not. The way I read that is, it was like Mustang talking to him, being like, "Oh, you're okay. You're going to be okay. We'll get through this or whatever."
But then why?
And him being
someone?
disassociated enough to not know that she's talking to him.
Yeah,
you know, he's like in a fever state and not understanding. But I mean,
and
I think your point is valid too.
Yeah,
Totally.
like I hear her speaking. She speaks to herself to someone, well, instead of to me or
Which I actually like your read on that better. I think that'd be cooler if Minerva Proctor comes down and she's, trying to convince them to give him medication.
Or convince her to give him up. And
or that, yeah.
This was the other idea where she's like pleading Mustang. This is all just in my mind of twisted, stupid shit. But she's pleading with Mustang like they want him. You're the only reason I'm still in.
I like that way better.
What the hell's the name of
to say Olympus?
Yeah, but where's the castle they're floating in? Mount Olympus. Yeah, sorry. So it's like they want him, give him up, and otherwise something very bad's going to happen to you. And then she basically fights back and it's like, no, I'm not doing it. And then somehow, some way, Mustang actually gets poisoned because it's just like all of a sudden she got sick.
True.
And then, yes, it's winter, but the Gold's immune system, they should be able to handle just a normal winter.
True.
But how come she's automatically on her deathbed where only a life stim can bring her out of it? So
this is all headcanon stuff, but I actually like that. I think that's interesting.
Hell yeah.
Maybe one day we'll ask Pierce.
Yeah.
Because I think that is interesting. That is very much also in line with what we were talking about earlier, where Odysseus gets into trouble with Athena or Minerva when multiple times she comes and says, you need to do this. And he's like, no, or he tries to trick her or whatever. And then she fucks him up. That's interesting.
Hell yeah.
I like that read. Now you got
so
me.
Now you're on
now
quotes.
I'm like, oh yeah, this is interesting. That would be a whole like cool fan fiction chapter.
Yeah. Before he started spiraling into hate and self-hate, that's where I was like, who's she talking to? What's going on? Why did she get sick? But yeah.
Write it. Write the chapter.
No.
The next one I have is the song sung by the one they call Persephone, hummed by an aureate, an echo of Eo's dream. I weep. If ever I felt there was a god, it is now, as I listen to the mournful chords. My wife is dead, but something of hers lingers still. So it's that echo that I really like of the girl. He's with both women at the same time, even though he's physically with her. His wife is there in the cave. Um, and then,
And we all want something to be cling to,
yeah,
and knowing like, oh, something of hers still lives on and others are now hearing it. Like that's a touching moment.
I mean, it gives us hope that there's
Uh,
something after, you know.
yes.
I don't know if I believe that, but I hope there is,
If it
It'd
helps
be,
you in the moment, then
yeah,
that's enough sometimes.
yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
um, Mustang has a great line. And again, this is little breadcrumbs to her becoming the face of um, the the republic.
Republic.
She says, "Slaves are stupid." She says, "And you're already a gimp. Why make you a stupid? Why make you stupid too?"
Yeah.
Um, you know, but her saying slaves are stupid. Her having this realization: why are we making them into slaves? Slaves can't do anything. They don't fight well. They don't do things well. They don't do tasks well. You have to go back and do the same job twice because a slave did it poorly. Um, then she says, because I didn't rule like you. You have to remember, people don't like being told what to do. You can treat your friends like servants and they'll love you, but you tell them they're servants and they'll kill you. Anyway, you put too much stock in hierarchy and fear, which must be galling for a red to have a gold say, oh, you think the hierarchy's too powerful. You think it's
Yes.
too good of a tool to sit there and be like, excuse me? I
Yeah.
mean, your whole
If you
fucking
only
dog
knew,
and pony
bitch.
show is based on that shit.
Yeah. I'm glad I burned your house down.
Yeah. She has another line that kind of encapsulates Darrow, where she says, "You're like a driven arrow with a very depressing shadow." Which
Yeah.
is, and we talked
Short
about it
and
last night.
sweet.
But that shadow gets, that shadow is the dead that follow him, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more that arrow drives forward.
Yes.
Um,
And
and I
he
think that
wants that to make it affect him that much. That was his
he keeps it.
goal to
He
himself, and he does. He bears
he
the weight.
hones and shapes and crafts and cares for that shadow constantly. Um, Again, what we talked about, but Mustang says, "I know you cry in your sleep for a girl named Io, sister or a girl you loved. It is a very off-color name, like
Mm.
yours." And then she says, "I like people more than you do. You are the wolf that howls and bites. I am the Mustang that nuzzles the hand. People know they can work with me. With you, hell, kill or be killed."
You know. And you could tell
And
why she was well loved within her house. Like she's probably understanding and speaks with the other members and keeps them in on the loop. And it's just things that Darrow needed to work on. And he needed to hear this to adapt
she understands him like deeply, which must be
quickly.
really for someone
Unnerving.
who unnerving, but also really meaningful, because like up until this point, he has hidden his reality from everyone. A little bit shown to several, but really he's a fake person to everyone. And nobody gets him. Nobody understands him. Nobody knows why he's doing what he's doing. And Mustang doesn't, but she's seeing an outline of the person that he is.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the first time he's feeling that someone's seeing him. Darrow says, "Sometimes I forget that the Institute is meant to teach me things." The Golden Girl tilts her head at me like how we must live for more. Her
Mm.
words strike my heart. They echo through time from another's lips. Live for more, more than power, more than vengeance, more than what we're given. Again, this string
Just,
of time and connection and connectivity just keeps coming up. And I think it's very cool.
yeah. So what makes the bond stronger and stronger? All these little things bring it all together and makes their partnership at first and then what blossoms afterwards so intense and dangerous to their enemies.
And she goes on later to say, or this is Darrow kind of synthesizing what they're talking about as far as slaves can't fight, and maybe we should fight together instead of a hierarchy. Maybe it should be everybody working together towards a goal. He says, this idea of hers isn't part of the Proctor's lesson. Their lesson is about the evolution from anarchy to order. It is about control, about the systematic accumulation of power, the structure of that power, and then its preservation. It is a model to show that the rule of hierarchies is the best. The society is the final evolution, the only answer. She just slagged that rule, or at least showed its limitations. And then further down that page, he says, Mustang's strategy is EO's dream.
Yes. Another nail on the her
I mean, he's
exclamation point.
To be clear, we're not saying that Pierce Brown is a particularly subtle author at times. If he has a point that he wants you to get, he's going to hammer it home.
Yes.
But I don't think that's. Yeah. Do you understand yet?
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a bad thing to do here. I think it's actually very helpful because he's trying to bond the reader to characters in a very short time. And he's trying to bond those characters in a very condensed time. It's not like he's got 500 pages to create the bond between Mustang and Darrow and Mustang and EO. He's got, 15 pages here or 12 pages, whatever it is. Make that quick and then really hit the audience over the head with it so that they understand and feel that connection.
Yep.
This is the part that Darrow comes across the tracks. I follow their tracks through the woods for an hour before I grow worried. They circle back around, leading somewhere familiar, leading to our cave. Lower down, he says, this is when he comes across the actual cave. One boy sits on Mustang's chest. The girl who saved my life is gagged and in her undergarments. She shivers from the cold. One of the boys bleeds from a bite wound on his neck. They are planning on making her pay for that wound. Knives heat till red in the fire. One boy obviously enjoys the sight of her nakedness. He reaches to touch her skin as though she's a toy meant for his pleasure. My thoughts are primal, wolf-like. A terrifying emotion sweeps over me, one that I did not know I had for this girl. Not till now. It takes a moment to calm myself, and I stop my hands from shaking. His hand is on the inside of her thigh.
Yeah.
Reading that, again, this actually had me more like angry than the ones previously. I don't think this deserved a content warning, but reading this was really because, and maybe it's like what Skipper was saying, like it's your girl, it's our girl that's being put in that position. And we feel this connection to Mustang this quickly that now it's like, oh, that's our Mustang. You take your fucking hand off or I'm going to cut it off. I don't know what your read on that is, but
100%. And I very much even more now appreciate like Skipper's point of view on this whole setting. But I find it also like Mustang was incapable of defending herself. She was so sick that she like couldn't move. And the fact that she tried enough to bite the guy's neck off, that's all she could end up doing. So it's like they easily tried to subdue her. What are you giggling for?
It's just weirdly endearing.
Yeah.
That like
that like last
that she
struggle.
Was so sick and physically ill, but still like gnawed on his neck in a weird way. That's like it's not cute, but it's endearing. It's very and it makes you like her more. That like even in the last throes of life, she's got enough fight in her to like cause pain on her attacker.
Yeah, it's life or death, and your body does crazy things. Your body can do so much more when you're in a severe struggle, and this proves that for Mustang. But as far as Darrow goes, that internal rage that builds up, he couldn't do anything to really help or save EO, where it's like, now I'm caring for this person. I'm doing something, but I also need to curb that down a little bit because then I'm going to I'm going to fuck up and then something bad's going to happen. He needs to wait until his hands stop shaking and then, react.
She says Darrow says Mustang insisted on coming along, coughing all the way as if she were worried I wouldn't do as she asked. She was right to think so.
Yeah.
That's basically him saying he was going out in the night to kill them, and she kept him from doing that. This is just a pretty line. He says, "She is something new, something hopeful, like spring to my deep winter." I like that. I think both you and I have women in our lives that echo that.
100%.
Fitchner, and in the interest of time, I'm not going to read all of the quotes I have highlighted for him. So Darrow says, the best of gold is supposed to rise, yet they already have chosen a winner. Not only does this ruin the Institute, it ruins the society. The fittest reign. That's what they say. Now they've betrayed their own principles by taking sides in a schoolyard fight. This is the Laurel all over again. Hypocrisy. And right after that, he says to Fitchner, so this kid is what? A predestined Alexander? A Caesar? A Genghis? A Wigan? This is slagging nonsense. That's the reference I was talking about at the beginning. A Wigan, he's talking about Ender Wigan. So it's a Orson Scott Card Ender's Game reference.
Oh, okay.
So in this world, Wigan,
little Easter egg.
I guess Ender Wigan was a general at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's putting him up with Alexander, Caesar, and Genghis Khan.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I don't think that the timelines are, I don't think it's a multiverse where this is all existing, but it's definitely a call out to Orson Scott Card's seminal work, Ender's Game, which I strongly suggest. And I actually like the shadow of, I think it's Ender's Shadow, which is a sequel series about one of his generals, and the character named Bean. It's very good. Fitchner says to Darrow, "If you die, they'll be very unhappy, especially the Sword of Mars. His name is Lorno Arcos. No doubt you've heard of him. He's prime good with a razor." So, shout out to my boy. I've got to reference Arcos anytime we find him.
Yep.
Darrow realizing, he says, so if their house is destroyed, they have to leave. And it was Apollo and Jupiter who wanted me dead, you say? So putting the pieces together of how he can strike back at the Proctors. Fitchner, Darrow says to Fitchner, Fitchner, my friends Roke and Leah died because of the Archgovernor's meddling. Let's see how he likes it when I make his son, the Jackal, my slave. And then Fitchner says, you're mad as a red, which again is like, he's called him rusty-headed and a red.
Yes. Yep. It keeps, these little one-liners that start to make sense.
And so there's a couple other lines, but I'm not going to keep going in the interest of time. That is chapter 34, The Northwoods, my favorite chapter in the book. Do you have any quotes or anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I actually looked through my notes, and all the pretty cool quotes, you pretty much gobbled them up. I don't know what knob them up means. It's a little weird.
I'm not
Settle
sure
down. Stop doing that.
It's very sensual.
Yeah.
Do you have any tight beams or anything you wanted to bring to the table?
No, no recent questions or anything, but if anyone does, if you have, send it to our email, sonsofariespod@gmail.com, or on our Instagram.
Sons of Aries.
The Sons of Aries. All right, fair enough. So this is why Cullen does the end wrap up, but send them away. We would love to answer any of these type beams or anything we went over that doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yep. Any theories about Red God or House of Arcos or anything like that?
Yeah, we can throw it. Yes, if it's a spoiler or whatever.
We'll talk about it at the end, yeah.
Yeah, we'll bring it up and just let people know, hey, this is maybe some endgame stuff. So, yeah, send them away. But I have nothing new in that department at this moment.
Okay. Well, then, yeah, if you've got any artwork, anything you want to share, anything you want to put out in the wide world of Red Rising, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Sons of Aries Pod. Or no, yeah, it is at Sons of
Yep.
Aries Pod. God, I should know this, but, we've only been, I think this will be like the 16th or 17th episode at this point.
Yeah.
We are rapidly headed towards the end of the book. You are bringing us chapters. What do you have next, Chuck? You've got chapters 35 and 36.
Oathbreakers, and the second test, 35 and 36.
Okay. All right.
And can you believe when we started this all out, though, we were like, we're never going to get to the Institute. And here
dude,
we are.
We'll be done with this book by November.
Yeah.
That's my prediction, which I'm excited because as much as I love this, once we get to Golden Sun, it's like we're off to the races.
Yes, it picks up. Again, I was talking with my wife and talking about reading the first book, which unfortunately she hasn't started yet. Things got a little whatever. But I was like, enjoy this one. It takes off from there because she's never done much in the sci-fi universe. So this is fresh material for her.
I mean, it's almost a shame to start here because...
Right? I agree with that. It's like hitting A+, and then everything afterwards just going to be like, what is this garbage?
The bar is set high. All right, yes. So we will catch you, whether this comes out Friday or Monday, I don't know, but whenever we release another one, you'll be getting 35 and 36, you said?
35 and 36, yes.
Perfect. All right, man. We'll see you later.
Have a good one.